I feel like one of the best things that we can do for the American people and their health is change the serving sizes.
Where else can you get a 44-ounce cup of Diet Coke? A British person would faint at the sight of this. And not to mention Cheetos branded cup. Like, it does not get more American than that.
Do you see how big this coffee is? This is what is wrong with the United States right here.
This is the small. This is not a small. I think we need to reevaluate what size smalls are.
What if I told you that many everyday restaurant meals in America are actually more than what you should eat in an entire day? Because right now, across the US, portion sizes have quietly reached a level where even a single lunch or appetizer can push you past your daily limits without you even realizing it. And today, we're talking about how oversized portions, hidden calories, and everyday menu choices are all part of a much bigger system. By the end of this video, you might start looking at your meals very differently. Let's get right into it.
Today, we're going to be trying the most unhealthiest item at Cheesecake Factory. This item is actually an appetizer. It comes in at a whopping 2,950 calories.
Let's start with something simple. A typical lunch at the Cheesecake Factory. One person posted a TikTok showing their meal: a cheese flatbread pizza, a Caesar salad, and a drink. And yeah, the Cheesecake Factory is known for big portions, but this is still sold as a completely normal sit-down lunch. The cheese flatbread alone, around 1,000 calories and over 2,500 milligrams of sodium. The Caesar salad, another 440 calories and 570 milligrams of sodium. And if you add a large soda, which most people do without thinking, that's another 300 to 400 calories. Now, suddenly, this normal lunch becomes 1,800 plus calories in one sitting and over 3,100 milligrams of sodium. For context, the dietary guidelines for Americans recommend limiting sodium to about 2,300 milligrams per day. So this one lunch already pushes you beyond that limit before dinner even happens. And here's the bigger issue. Most people don't look at that meal and think, I just ate an entire day's worth of food. They think, that was lunch. Now let's go even further. At Texas Roadhouse, the Cactus Blossom appetizer comes in at around 2,250 calories and roughly 5,000 milligrams of sodium. That's not even a meal. That's something people share before the meal. And even if you split that between, say, 2 to 4 people, that's still a huge calorie and sodium hit per person, especially once you add in your own entree, a drink, and maybe dessert.
Today I'm reviewing the 3,000 calorie appetizer at Chili's.
At Chili's, the 6-piece Nashville hot mozzarella is 2,440 calories and 6,620 milligrams of sodium. That alone is already more than what most people should consume in an entire day. And then there's dessert. Chili's Skillet Chocolate Chip Cookie has 1,210 calories and 105 grams of sugar. So think about this realistically. You go out to eat, you split an appetizer, you order an entree, you get a dessert, maybe a drink or two. You could easily hit 4,000 to 5,000 calories without ever feeling like you did anything extreme. And that's the point. This isn't rare. This is normal. At Olive Garden, the chicken tortelloni Alfredo is pushing nearly 2,000 calories by itself, and that's before unlimited breadsticks and salad. At Applebee's, the new OMG cheeseburger, a viral cheeseburger served in a skillet of melted cheddar topped with bacon, comes in at around 1,900 calories. So let me ask you, when you go out to eat, do you think about the total calories and sodium, or do you just assume it's not as healthy as home cooking, but still nothing that crazy? Now, here's where things get even more deceptive, because not all high-calorie foods look obvious. Some of the most calorie-dense items in America are the ones that can be perceived at first glance as lighter, healthier, or just more casual. Let's start with salads, because salads are supposed to be the safe option, right? At the Cheesecake Factory, the barbecue chicken salad has around 1,950 calories. That's even higher than some burgers, about 50 calories more than the OMG cheeseburger we just talked about. And why? Because it's not just lettuce. It's chicken, onion strings, dressing, toppings, all layered together. So you think you're making a better choice, but calorie-wise, you might not be. Now let's talk about smoothies. A TikTok user shared a mango smoothie from Planet Smoothie. Sounds refreshing, sounds healthy, but based on their nutrition info, a medium can hit over 1,000 calories. A large, around 1,400 plus. That's not a snack. For some people, that's basically a full, hearty meal's worth of calories, all in liquid form.
America's portion sizes are actually freaking insane. I just asked for like a mango smoothie. This thing is literally the size of my head. It is huge. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to drink all of this.
And then there's coffee. At Dunkin', a large frozen mocha coffee can reach 1,100 calories and 165 grams of sugar. That's not coffee, that's dessert. And this is where Utah's dirty soda trend fits perfectly into the conversation, because dirty soda is essentially soda plus flavored syrups, creamers, and add-ins. It's another way to turn a drink into a calorie-dense experience. If you haven't seen my last deep dive on that trend yet, check it out next. And here's the problem with drinks specifically. They don't feel filling. You can drink hundreds, even 1,000 calories and still feel hungry afterward, which makes it incredibly easy to stack calories without realizing it. So here's the question. Do you think drinks like smoothies, hyper-sweet coffee, and dirty soda should be treated like food, or do people mentally separate them?
Chipotle's kids meal is under $6 and it comes with so much food. Protein, 2 toppings, taco shells, a drink, and a side. This is legit like a third of the cost of the 3 taco adult meal. And since I saved so much money getting a kids meal, I could afford a side of guacamole.
Now let's flip the perspective, because while adult portions are huge, kids' meals might actually line up more closely with what the average, relatively sedentary adult needs. Most kids' meals fall somewhere between 400 and 700 calories, and for many adults, especially those who are sedentary, that's actually reasonable for a meal. But culturally, kids' meals are seen as too small, not enough, something you grow out of. And this idea got challenged in a viral TikTok. Someone posted themselves eating kids' meals from different fast food places, and the comments were immediate. Those are kids' meals? America is wild for that. The kids' meals in America are definitely the same as normal or big portions in Europe, judging by looking at the food in this video. And then someone pointed out something interesting. Most restaurants in my area won't allow an adult to order off the kids menu and put age limits on it, which raises a bigger question. Why restrict smaller portions in an environment where everything else is oversized? The creator even responded, "I found that with fast food they don't care, because what if you're ordering for someone at home? But at restaurants, it's a big no to order off the kids menu." And then someone else said they've had to place pickup orders just to get around that. Think about that. People are literally finding ways to work around the system just to get a smaller portion. So maybe the issue isn't that kids' meals are small. Maybe it's that everything else is too big. So let me ask you, should adults be able to order kids' meals or any version of smaller, half-size portions at restaurants? Or would that throw the whole restaurant model off? If you've worked in a restaurant, I want to hear what you think. Drop it in the comments. Now, this is where everything starts to connect, because this isn't happening by accident. Portion sizes are engineered. There's a viral TikTok showing a meal so massive the whole family needed huge trays just to take leftovers home. One commenter said, "Portions are big when you order family style." The original poster replied, "It's not family style. There's a sharing fee if you share an entree." Others chimed in with, "Sharing fees? Is America okay?" And I'm too European to know what a sharing fee is, along with, "A sharing fee for these portions is outrageous." The system encourages overeating, discourages sharing, and keeps people consuming more than they need. Would you ever pay a sharing fee at a restaurant, or does that feel completely over the top? Value sizing is another one of the biggest drivers. You go to order something and you're given a choice: medium for $8, large for $9. So for just $1 extra, you get more food or drink. And suddenly, choosing the smaller option feels like a bad deal. So what do most people do? They upgrade, even if they didn't originally want that much.
I got Dunkin', and I saw it was a medium that was like $5, and then it was like a large that was like $5.60. So I was like, okay, just a little bit of difference. So I'm gonna get it. Why is the large this big?
One example is the medium Big Mac meal. If you order it with a Coke, it comes in at 1,100 calories and costs $8.89. Upgrade to the large for just $1.20 more, and you're looking at 1,350 calories. Another example, a 16-ounce Grande Mocha Cookie Crumble Frappuccino at Starbucks is $6.45, but a 24-ounce venti of the exact same drink is $6.75. Just 30 cents more gets you 50% more drink, making it super tempting to upgrade even if you didn't really need that much. That upgrade adds an extra 110 calories and 20 more grams of sugar. Then there's plate size. Studies have actually shown that when people are given bigger plates, they serve themselves more food and end up eating more without even realizing it.
If you use a plate like this, you'll eat 20 to 30% more calories than when you use a plate like this. And the reason why is simple. Bigger plates like this make the same portion look smaller, tricking your brain into serving and eating more.
One experiment had adults map out their meals on different sized plates. People consistently planned about 24% more food on the larger plates. Basically, bigger plates trick your brain into thinking you need more and potentially eating more. And just think about how oversized the plates are at some of your favorite restaurants. Now add distraction into the mix. Think about movie theaters, massive popcorn buckets, giant drinks, because when you're focused on a movie, you're not focused on how much you're actually eating. The same thing happens at home. Multiple scientific reviews show that not paying attention while you eat, like watching TV or just multitasking, doesn't just feel mindless, it actually leads people to eat more calories than they would otherwise. A 2025 systematic review found that eating while watching television reliably increases how much food people consume compared to eating without distraction. And this effect shows up in both children and adults. Another review, looking across dozens of experiments, found that using screens or other distractions while eating almost always increases immediate food intake, suggesting that when your attention is elsewhere, your brain doesn't register how much you're eating. In other words, when you're distracted, you literally eat more without realizing it.
I don't know what they put in these potato chips. I literally just ate the whole jar.
People eat faster, they eat more, and they feel less full afterward. And yet, when people talk about giant restaurant portions or those massive family-size bags of snacks we mindlessly eat at home, there are always comments like, well, you don't have to eat the whole thing at once, no one's forcing you, duh. Which sounds logical, but ignores how these foods are designed. Hyper-palatable, high in salt, sugar, and fat, engineered to keep you going back for another bite. So yes, technically you can stop, but everything about the environment is pushing you not to. So here's the real question. Is overeating a personal choice, or is it something people are being nudged toward?
We all know American portion sizes are very large, but this just put it into perspective for me. Okay, so this is a normal size bag of chip. One serving size, it says. This is what I just bought at the store. It's the size of my torso. Isn't that wild?
And it's not just restaurants. This extends into grocery stores too. Walk down any snack aisle and you'll see it. Family size, party size, value pack. But in reality, some of these giant family-size snacks, yeah, people are eating them solo, whether they want to admit it or not. Not families, not parties, just one person over the course of a sitting or a day.
One thing I truly don't understand about America, this whole serving size thing. What's a serving size? 1/3 of the bag? Be for real, I'm gonna eat the whole thing and I already did. So just tell me how many calories are in the whole thing and let me live.
Then there's the classic single-serving package. Flip it over, and the nutrition label quietly admits it's actually 2 or 3 servings. But let's be honest, most people don't open a bag, eat half, and save the rest. They finish it. And this creates a disconnect, because technically the information is there. The serving size is listed, the calories are listed, but behavior doesn't follow that structure.
Serving sizes are absolutely absurd. You know, a Sabra hummus, like the regular size Sabra hummus from the supermarket, is supposedly 9 servings. 9 servings? I'm gonna say 2. Oreo cookies, serving size is 2 cookies. A serving size is at least 5, if not 10.
People eat based on what's in front of them. So when the portion increases, consumption increases.
How many serving sizes is in this? There's actually 2 serving sizes in this. Who does that?
So ask yourself, when you grab a snack, are you actually thinking in servings or just in packages?
Portion sizes in America really are crazy. I mean, I visited Japan as a foreign exchange student when I was younger, and the first night we had dinner, the family of 5, 6 with me there, brought out a single can of Coca-Cola for the whole family, a 12-ounce can. We each had 2 ounces poured into a glass, and we were sipping on it like a 25-year-old whiskey. I mean, it was wild. I just drank this with dinner and didn't think twice about it. I mean, this would have covered that family for a week, maybe 2.
Now, zoom out, because this isn't usually the global norm. In many countries, portion sizes are smaller, more controlled, more balanced. At fast food chains like McDonald's, a medium in the US can feel like a large elsewhere.
Let's go to Mackey's for a scan and compare the American sizes to the UK sizes. This is a large, this is a medium, and this is a small. I feel like this is a medium in England. Don't know what this is. This is like an extra large. This is a large, medium, small, and this is the Happy Meals. This is probably like our large, isn't it?
Soda sizes are smaller, free refills are uncommon, and culturally, there's less emphasis on maximizing quantity.
What? I ask a medium size. That's medium. Ma che medium? My entire family can drink from here for 1 month.
I went to Taco Bell to get a regular meal, right? And then she gives me this. What the is that? And then she had the audacity to say, oh, it's free refills. Who the is drinking all this? It's the size of my head.
In the US, there's a different mindset. Bigger is better. More is value. Unlimited is appealing. And when people from other countries visit, one of the first things they notice is how large everything is. Not just meals, but drinks, snacks, even grocery packaging. And over time, that environment shapes expectations. So what feels normal in America feels excessive elsewhere. So let me ask you, do you think American portions are generous or out of control?
We're gonna do how many calories in one Cheesecake Factory meal.
So what does all of this lead to? A system where overeating becomes easy, almost automatic. Because when large portions are the default and high-calorie foods are everywhere, it doesn't take much to go over your needs. And this isn't about one meal. It's about accumulation, day after day, meal after meal. Small surpluses adding up over time. And then people blame themselves. Lack of discipline, lack of willpower. But when the environment is built this way, it's not always that simple. Because portion sizes influence behavior. Hyper-palatable foods influence behavior. Convenience influences behavior. So eating balanced portions feels difficult, not just because of personal choices, but because of the system surrounding those choices. So here's the final question. Is this a personal responsibility issue or a system design problem? Portions are engineered, drinks are deceptive, snacks are sneaky. The system is designed to push us toward more. Bigger plates, sweeter drinks, hyper-palatable foods, oversized restaurant meals, and those snacks that aren't really single servings at all. The good news is, awareness is power. Once you see how these tricks work, you can start taking control. If you live a pretty sedentary life, order kids' meals when eating at fast food chains. It's often enough, and you won't overdo it without realizing.
Kids' meals are the cheat codes. If you're an adult, a kids' meal is enough, I promise. If you need to add a little something, like, for example, I got the kids' burger. All this was $7. I added up an extra patty, which was an extra $2, but I got it wrapped in lettuce, fries that could feed 2 people, and a drink for $7. That's the cheat code, and it's going to keep me full until dinner time.
Stop at about 80% full. Leave the rest for later. Take it home or share. Restaurant portions are usually massive anyway, and this will save you from that uncomfortably full feeling. Check labels carefully for how portions are measured, especially for prepackaged snacks. Pre-portion your snacks. Instead of eating straight from the bag, put a serving in a separate bowl so you don't accidentally eat the whole thing. Question the value upgrade. Bigger isn't always better. Slow down and pay attention. Distracted eating makes it easy to overdo it. Small changes like these can make a big difference over time without feeling like deprivation. At the end of the day, it's not solely about willpower. It's also about seeing how the system is stacked and learning how to work around it. So here's my final question for you. Do you think portion problems in America are a personal responsibility issue or a system design problem, or a mix of both? If this video changed how you look at food even a little, share it with someone who needs to see it. And if you want more videos into the trends, marketing, and secrets behind the foods we eat, hit subscribe and turn notifications on so you don't miss our next deep dive.